Blessings,
We are
blessings.
live.
We are
Okay,
live.
great. We are live. Go.
Go. Hey,
Brother.
was that the plan?
No, I'm just saying because you had started saying blessings. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, we
blessings,
all,
family. Blessings,
we
people.
started up
What's
right.
going on? Dr. Duh in the building with brother.
Brother Shabazz, I always say, Brother Shabazz, sometimes you're Professor Shabazz, but what's going on to the pro-black Pan-African world? Hold up to everybody know how to put puzzle pieces together and look beyond the smoke and mirrors. We coming to y'all live tonight, and we got some stuff to talk about. Might be gloves off, but we got some stuff to talk about tonight.
With all due respect.
You know, like, oh, yeah, it's nice to say that. And we really do mean it, but you know, every time somebody say, I don't mean no harm, some harm about to come down the pipe. But
yeah.
no, all due respect, we both got respect for, like, you know, most everybody out here on the grind trying to do something positive for the people. We got respect.
Yeah, I mean, definitely respect them as humans. Now, ideology and philosophy, I think we got some problems.
Oh, for sure.
And if there's been a lot going on out here in these YouTubian streets, as your dear brother, the #1 Big Papa, as he says, you know, as they say, a broke clock can be right. What?
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
So the YouTubians out here are making a lot of noise.
They sure enough is.
So I mean, so is this thing? What do we have it? Oh my God, we got streamers at the bottom from. Okay, but what do we have this titled as today?
The title: FBA movement, James Smalls, Tariq Nasheed, Pan-Africanism, and more.
And more. Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts about all what's going on? I don't know how you want to get into this, but you know, what's some of the things that come up for you as we, you know, we kind of.
Well, you know, I'll say this. First time I heard about the FBA movement.
Let me back up real quick. You know,
okay.
If y'all don't know, y'all, this is the proper perspective, Professor Shabazz, right? And I called him up, right, family? I called up because, you know, that's my biological cousin. I just want y'all to know that, right?
That's right. That's what it Look, lineage.
Pun intended, right? So, and I see him over there on his station dropping serious perspective. And he puts things in these frames, and he researches, and he digs deep and all that type of thing. Things that, you know, I don't always, it's not my strongest suit. I do it, but you know, it kind of like you could just tell when somebody's like a little more natural at just doing that, like they just want to. It's almost like they feel good about researching the thing the way that they research the thing. You know what I mean? Like they feel good about bringing up clips and videos and all the things and really making their point and sending it home, right? To me, I'm more of a like off the cuff, you know, analytical, you know, off the whim, shoot you out the pocket, pow type of guy with all types of thought and intellect and things like that to back it up. But this dear brother, my cousin, proper perspective, Professor Shabazz, definitely has a strength. And I wanted to see if we could connect like Voltron and have a discussion. And I don't even know what his thoughts are, to be honest with you. So this is organic, you know, this is an organic discussion, but let's talk. What's up, brother Proper?
Well, I appreciate that. That's like a dope intro. I do appreciate that. And I do, you know, I have always sort of like prided myself on research. It was just something that kind of like came to me kind of sort of like naturally when I first started getting into the information that be out there, you know. And so I'm like, I took research to heart when I first hit the ground and was learning about this, that, and the other, and it always kind of stuck with me. But so yeah, I do appreciate you recognizing that and saying that. But you know, and it was through research that really like, you know, when I like brought me to understanding, finding out, learning about like different schools of thought, different ideologies. And when I first heard about the FBA movement, um, I thought it had a lot of good. I thought it had a lot of
that makes sense.
merit. You know, the way in which I encountered people, I met people like in a very like weird and interesting way because I had went out for I went out for a movie role.
Okay.
And on the set, so to speak, where all of the little, you know, not no real like, you know, you might actually make it to screen. It was just like the background actors type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the brothers that was back there, we was just, you know, huddled up and talking one day, and they started telling me, you know, politics came along, and they started saying, you know, they don't really see themselves as African American, and it was a little shocking to me. And so we had this conversation, and they was telling me all this stuff about how they feel about this term foundational Black American. And I really, you know, that was when I first like really discovered the movement, so to speak. And I was like, I was kind of like, okay, I understand what you're saying or whatever. I was doing a little pushback because I always came up, you know, considering myself just like an African in the West. So I was just like, but they were younger, and I was like, well, I know the age divide is gonna break this down real hard. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to their stuff, and they at that time, you know, they were talking. There was honesty in their voice, and there wasn't vehement, there wasn't disgust, there wasn't denigration coming out of their mouth. So I was
Mm-hmm.
cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I started digging, researching, looking up all of the people that they was dropping names and whatnot. And I would find the people online, and I, you know, I started watching their videos, and I was just like, well, the way these cats talk
Mm-hmm.
online, this is not the conversation that I was having.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, you know, I try to hold on to the idea that, okay, you know, I met these dudes and they seemed like sincere, earnest people concerned about us making progress.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the ones that I have encountered online, I ended up just getting into like arguments and debates and beefs and
Yeah.
battles and
Yeah.
hardcore conversations
Mm-hmm.
on every social media app that I jumped on. I started running into them,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find any more reasonably sounding. All I could find was the brothers that's stark raving mad
Mm-hmm.
about the immigrants taking from us. And I was just like, you know, I I'm not with this. I'm sorry. I can't rock with you like that.
Mm.
So I like, if not for the first encounter,
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, it's all garbage. I hold on to the idea that there could be some people that do actually, you know, take to the identification of the label
Right.
without all the viscosity. But I haven't encountered any other than those that one time that don't come with the daggers out. And so I'm just like, I don't have a lot of positive stuff to say about the FBA movement.
Man. If it was what the excuse me, let me not, my brothers and sisters, who I think mean well in a very traumatized sense. They are
Mhm.
in a them against us type of fight.
Mhm.
And sometimes they tend to use talking points that make sense. They do. I mean, if it was what they are saying it is, it
Mhm.
makes sense. Now,
Right.
the issue I have is that part of it is, and they'll say, well, this is about Tariq Nasheed. No, it's not about Tariq Nasheed, but yes, it's about Tariq Nasheed as well.
Right.
Because if it's his brainchild and he has
Mm-hmm.
created the foundational tenets,
Mm-hmm.
and you are parroting all the things he's saying and saying there's no leader, but absolutely, my debate is absolutely, if you don't want to call it a leader, it's a thought leader there, and you're parroting the thought leader's philosophy, or
100%.
or whatever, if you want to call it a philosophy, or you
Mm-hmm.
know, his working ideology. You understand?
Right.
I mean, it
Right.
works, and it's always working. And it's, when I mean
Mm-hmm.
about working in a social scientific sense, meaning that he's still working on it. It's evolving, it's changing, and he's been
Mm-hmm.
evolving from where he has been to where he is for a long time, from pimp to pimp. You understand? From pimp to pimp.
Exactly.
You
From
understand?
pimp to pimp.
From pimp to pimp. But it's not about him I have problems with, because one man without an army of people who follow him and repeat his ideological underpinnings,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the strength comes in. The strength comes in that, in where you are repeating exactly what he says, and you try to hide your hand and throw the stone and hide your hand and act like you didn't just do what I saw you do, which is gaslighting. There's a
Right.
lot of gaslighting in this movement. And I got some good
Right.
friends, and they say
Mm-hmm.
some things, and I'm not trying to be like them. They say, if you don't understand FBA, you are stupid. I said it. I said it. Now this is what they're saying.
I hear you.
And
Yeah.
the reality is, from a scholarly perspective, I want to say is, I understand that you're lost. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that you don't see the divisiveness that's happening, because
Right.
you are on guard. You are on defense. You are triggered by what
Mm-hmm.
some have done,
Right.
and which is a reality. But
Mm-hmm.
I can hold two things at the same time, because you
Right.
can totally flip the lens and say what we have done. You can totally see that we
Mm-hmm.
have been played against each other, and it doesn't have a start and stop destination. It then
Right.
becomes, look what your wife done. Look at what your children have done. Look at these people. You know, what I'm saying is, look, anything that has to do with divisiveness, and it's aiding, divide and conquer, and I'm saying it is a
Mm-hmm.
divide and conquer for ideology,
Right.
I think is problematic. I'm gonna shut up and let you build.
No, I agree. My biggest thing was when I was, talking to people and looking up and trying to watch these videos or whatnot, was I was always given the litmus test of divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
The way you can tell, the way you approach any ideology, any school of thought, is, does it help us advance, or does it help us be divided? If it brings us together, then it's worthy of investigation. If it separates us, it's worthy of being shunned.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, you can say some things, and I'll never, like, I always end up in this situation where I'm like, look, I'm not saying that there aren't things that some people from outside of the US who are melanated just like us. There are some people with some terrible attitudes, but there are some people amongst us in the US with terrible attitudes. And so I'm like for me, kind of sort of like coming up in hip hop, there was, there was the North versus the South.
Mm-hmm.
And the North can't stand the South, and the South can't stand the North.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ain't like us. Y'all
Right.
don't dress like us. Y'all don't talk like us. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
music, y'all ain't even the same kind of hip hop. Y'all ain't real hip hop.
Yeah.
All this back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and so I'm just like, again, the litmus test. Are we coming together, or are we separating more and more? If we're separating more and more, something has to be done to stop the separation. And then we need to find out, why are we being separated?
Right.
So, even in hip hop, when Tupac and Biggie, that whole situation, later on it came out that the industry giants, the magazines and the record labels and all these other behind the scenes hands. And some people started finding out the government had a hand in it and this, that, and the other. Okay, well, lesson learned. It's a shame that two brothers had to lose their lives over it and even more. But lesson learned, you're either working to be united or you're working to be divided. Once you see the division setting in, you got to ask yourself, who's really behind it? And so,
and you can't act like you don't see the divisiveness. You understand the name calling, the backbiting, and all these other things. They try to act like you
like they're
are
the innocent victims.
Yes,
and the immigrants have been taking advantage of us forever. No,
and the reality is this: they use this term delineation or to delineate, and I don't personally see an issue with saying, well, look, I am a specific type of African or specific type of descendant with a certain type of experience. But if it was that, I would say, yeah. But the problem is, it's not that. And there's people who have done that and tried to do that in the Pan-African movement before this guy and his clan. So that's why, in fact, the Temple of New African Thought, the organization I found, is New African, which is a specific type of African with experience here in the West. So that is already something that we already understand the need for being able to see the nuance of African. And it's not to say, like, people can point the fingers all day, but again, we are being puppeted by the system, white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to play games with the words, but nonetheless, what I want to say is we are being manipulated and you can't see it. And I get it, because you're tired, you're frustrated, you want to see us do better, but do both. But the idea is that when I hear you talk, you're parroting one of the the top tier con artists in the community. There's some problem with that. When you really look this up, you see that there's no true scholars, and there's no true scholars that truly understand this thing and will be supporting it the way it is. I'm talking about from a Black-centered perspective. Look, and I'm going to say it again, because Baba Kaba, he's over there. You know what I mean? Baba Smalls was over there. But what I'm saying is, lots of times these two type of brothers, elders, sometimes they try to look past the thing. They try to look past all the negative and all these type of things, but it will blow up in their faces.
Yeah, I had been saying for such a long time, because and actually, like, I actually got into like a negative conversation with a brother, because he was pulling up clips from Professor Smalls saying, see, your own Pan-African guard says that the Africans don't like us. And I was just like, well, I mean, I knew that the clip was taken out of context.
But you don't
understand. I also know people today either don't fully grasp and understand context, or they get to a point where they don't care about context.
They don't care. They just looking
and it's like, if I got the soundbite, that's A to Z. I got the soundbite. He said it. And they don't care nothing else about what came before it and what came after. And I even saw a video of, again, from hip hop. I saw a video of Method Man, and he was talking amongst like some brothers on the street or whatever. And somebody wanted to they was like, can we use this as an interview? And he was like, no. He was like, I'm gonna tell you why I don't do interviews, because you say something and you intend it for one way, and then whoever was doing the interview, they go back and start cutting and clipping and snipping, and then it's saying something else. And he said, I'll give you a perfect example. And then he just started saying some outlandish, crazy stuff, right? And it was just like, are you sitting there? It's like, oh my God. And then when he got finished, he was like, nah, I ain't mean none of that. Now, if I gave you the okay for this whole interview, I know exactly what part of this you're going to play. And everybody in the round was like, oh, well, he got a point there. Because all people want is a soundbite.
Yeah.
And once they get a soundbite, they done. And so it's just like I said earlier, I was glad when Professor Smalls finally came out and was just like, look, there's some people saying stuff and they taking my words out of context. And, you know, it was an hour-long conversation and they playing the 3 minutes where I bombed on Africa, but they ain't playing the 15 minutes where I bombed on us. And this, that, and the other. And I'm like, finally, because if people don't put it out there, if people don't take charge of the narrative, well, you see what happened.
You know, and as I see Dr. Mayat, peace, Dr. Mayat, in the building, I can't say the name, Wahop, something like that. Blessings, blessings to all the family, and you know, I think you make a great point, and I wrote something, because of what they've been saying, and I'll just read it. I said, I understand why some people gravitate towards the idea of defining our specific lineage in the United States. That part makes sense, but we also have to be honest about what FBA actually is and how it functions today. Whether people want to admit it or not, Tariq Nasheed is the mind behind it. He is the architect of the ideology, the terminology, the framing, and the political direction of the movement. Now, let me back up and tell you what the meme was that I created. It was FBA is an identity with an ideology, because they keep saying it's a lineage, not just a pure lineage, as some attempt to argue. Again, the meme I created said FBA. Go get the meme and share it everywhere, family. Go to my page on Facebook. Go to my page on Instagram, Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler. Go and share it everywhere, because we have to look. You have to really lean on your social scientists when we're talking about this thing. And I tell people, at the bottom is, I said I wrote an entire dissertation on Black identity, so I know that all identity is socio-political. There's no neutral identities. FBA is not a neutral lineage. It has a whole ideology behind it, and it has a lot of the founders' thoughts in there. And the reality is, when I don't listen to the founder, but I'm like, what are all these people saying that their rebuttals are horrible? Their rebuttals are horrible. But then I go and listen to someone sends me a clip about their founder, Tariq Nasheed, or the thought leader, because if you don't want to say a leader, you cannot say he's not your thought leader, or he's not a thought leader in this regard. So whatever you want to play the games, is it not an organization? Movements don't have to be organizations. Mussolini, as I told people, he didn't have to create a organization. Hitler didn't have to create an organization. People don't have to go and create organizations to literally have. They don't have to be filed. Right. You don't have to call it. It's the same thing when people play games when they say, I am some type of religion. Okay, let me just give an example. I am Hebrew, but I am not. This is not a religion. This is a way of life. This is the game people are playing. Yes. This is not a religion. This is a way of life. This is not a this is not a political ideology. This is a lineage. And then hence then some would say now they're moving on to try to kind of combat it by saying things like, well, it's the delineation, which is the ideology, but you cannot, I repeat, you cannot separate even delineating from FBA. You cannot separate what they're speaking about, their talking points, away from FBA. So let me go on with this reading. FBA also did not emerge in a vacuum. It appeared immediately after ADOS gained national attention through the work of Yvette Carnell, Antonio Moore. Scholars and movements observers widely note that FBA redirected or repurposed much of the momentum of ADOS that ADOS created. Whether someone calls it splintering, rebranding, or competing lineage claim, the outcome is the same. The conversation shifted toward Tariq Nasheed's platform, style, and worldview. Another factor that cannot be ignored is Tariq's pattern of creating conflict. This is what he does.
Exactly.
Stepping back and then denying involvement. That is throwing stones and hiding hands. The dynamic has fueled unnecessary infighting within the Black community. Historically, internal conflict has been a recurring problem amongst oppressed groups, shaped by centuries of divide and conquer strategies under white supremacy ideology, if you want to put on the internet. Lateral hostility, suspicion, and fragmentation have deep roots. These patterns are not new. And I say these patterns are not new because you're acting like you're delineating, you're doing something new. This is always what Black people have been taught to do worldwide. They've been delineating. If you don't hear too many people, you hear Jamaicans say, I'm not African, African Americans say I'm not African, or Black American, I'm not this, I'm not that. We've been delineating for a long time. What we have not been doing is pan-Africanizing. That's what we have not been doing. So the mind, see, I think people think that they're deeper and sharper than they truly are. And so and what I mean, I said it with all due respect. But what I am saying is none of your scholars, none of your greatest minds would agree with this. In fact, the people who Tariq Nasheed has pimped, and yes, I'm saying pimped, because I have firsthand. Hold on, let me back up. Not unconsciously. Well, what I'm saying, I have firsthand account. He pimped a lot of us. Those who participate and those who watch and view his mess. And what I'm saying is, I've talked to the elders before now. I'm talking about years ago. And they said Tariq is a mess. But you understand? I'm not look, people who try to get an opportunity, I get it, but get in and get out. Get in and get out. It's like the way I look at it, like, would I go on NBC? Yeah, I would go on NBC. I don't think NBC is my ally. I don't think NBC is for my people. Nor is Tariq. Tariq is not for you. Tariq is not for us. Don't get stuck with that man. I get why people would take the opportunity, but don't get stuck over there, because Tariq is a problem. And what he wants to do is pimp people. And the fact I got sent the interview from a dear sister, and in that interview that Tariq did recently, he said, I'm taking James Smalls off of everything. Look. And then people are going to sit around and be okay with that. Like Kaba, you putting stuff up, Baba Kaba, you putting things up like, look, it's time for your elders to step up.
Go ahead. The crazy thing is, years ago, I'm talking minimum 5 years. I want to say even before that, because Tariq been out for a minute. I was hearing other brothers, like, I'm going to say this, like Sarnetta. Now, I like Sarnetta. I like his channel, and I like, the debate, the conversations that he do. A lot of people be like trying to throw shots at him.
We diverge on that point, but yeah, go ahead.
I know.
I'm just clear. I mean, Sarnetta's okay. I mean, he's a human being. He's my brother, but he is a problem. But go ahead.
But what I was saying is, even on his channel, he was calling for the elders to come back out. Like when everything sort of moved from, being a vendor on the street to trying to do everything online and in videos, he was calling for the elders to come back out and like clear the air and make proclamations and straighten out some things, because Tariq Nasheed was out there, pivoting and slipping in between the cracks and building his little platform in ways that were counter to the overarching narrative. And most of the elders just ignored it. And I'm like, but again, so I'm just like, it is like, for me, it's high time that more people really, really started addressing and calling out. And I like that. FBA really stands for faces, fascist bigotry, Afrophobia, for sure. But but it's high time that we really take it to task. And the other thing I wanted to say was, one of the things that you can look at to see that it really boils down to like a cult of personality. Because when Tariq was first like building everything up, he was calling himself the leader. And so everybody pointed to him as the leader. When he started getting a little heat for being the leader, that's when he said, I'm not going to be the leader. Y'all don't tell them I'm your leader. Go out there and tell them I'm not your leader. And everybody started saying to me, not our leader. And then when the name started to change, like they went from whatever word was to the delineation, they went to delineation because Tariq said, well, we don't need to keep using such and such. From now on, we just gonna start using delineate. And all of the bobbleheads started saying, well, what's wrong with delineation? So every time he pivot, sidestep, switch it up, he do it because he getting heat from other people in other corners. And so he got to sidestep and switch it up so he can try to keep that hot, brand new energy. And everybody just follow lock, stock, and barrel. And they change their talking points based on when he changed. When he turned the page, they turned the page. They ain't thinking about nothing other than that.
And one thing pimps know well, and I'm calling them charlatans, they know that if he just makes a shift, we forget real quick. Yeah. And we're very forgiving people. And due to our trauma, we want to see us win. And the desire to see us win has us looking past some very fundamental problems. You know what I mean? And so and we it's like, don't tear a black man down. This black man is the best at tearing down black men and women. I don't think there's a person out here. I'm not even speaking about those who they call tethers. I am saying American FBAs. Look, the fact that I say something, the first thing they say to them out, where are you from? Where are you from? If I say something, they start to ask the question, where are you from? I'm from United States. My family is from the United States. This is my dear cousin right here. Blood kin. Our family come up through the Virginia area. My DNA shows it. You understand what I'm saying? But guess what? I don't care. I don't care. You understand what I'm trying to say? There's people DNA to show that they've been here and also in the islands. But what I'm saying is, at the same time, I want you to keep this clear that this does not mean that I don't see the significance in being able to isolate variables for the sake of study. I am a social scientist. I do that. I understand. We have isolating variables for the sake of study, for the sake of various claims and all those type of things, just to measure things and look at things a certain way. Yes, but the isolating the variables in this sense becomes with a certain level of hostility against people who look like us, who have been brainwashed by white supremacy, who have been brainwashed by colonization, who have been brainwashed by slavery and oppression and all these other things, religion and all these other things. But we must understand as conscious people that this is the majority of our people. Because the majority of our people follow the mainstream narrative, and depending where you are, the mainstream narrative tells you how to think about yourself and how to think about others. So that is a part of the whitewashing of our minds. So we understand and already realize that our brothers and sisters, not only continental Africans or diasporic African people, is also people here that also, now I'm not even saying that project things outward, but also project things right here within our own group. So what I'm saying is your methodology is flawed, and it's very reactive or reactionary, brother.
Right. They it's always reactionary, and it's always one of the things that he does. You know, he'll take an incident and then he'll extrapolate, you know, this one particular incident, and then he weaves and wax poetic to get you all stirred up on the anger of it, and then he'll say, "This is how everything is. This is how all of them are." And so I'm just like, again, the whole thing is, if all you're willing to see is the other person's bad act. Like for me, the classic example that they like to throw out all the time is, what they don't like us or they call us names. And I'm like, you do know that it's just as many of them that have been called names by some of us. Oh, that ain't the same thing. Look, like this is if you're once you're committed to always being the victim, then there's a problem. There's a psychological problem. And I'm like, no, I ain't got the chops for that. I can't help you. I can't diagnose you. I can't help you come up out of that circle. I had got to a point where I had said, we gonna have to agree to disagree. I'm just gonna have to let you roll, and you're gonna go on out there and just be your mad Black American, all you want to be, because I can't get you to see the other side of rationality. If you don't want to see it, then you're not gonna see it.
Because the trauma won't allow you to see. And guess what? I did an entire dissertation, and I see you've been checking it out, by the way. I'm like, what is he doing with that thing? So it's called measuring the relationship between race-based trauma, Black identity, which I am arguing FBA is. You cannot argue me that it is. You can argue that it isn't, but you won't win.
Right.
Measuring the relationship between race-based trauma, Black identity, and spirituality. So what I'm trying to say is, this is a social political construct with lineage as part of it. Has some ideas how you tie that back to lineage, but I forgot where I was going at. But what I want to say is the trauma, and I get it. I do get our brothers and sisters that are caught up in this FBA idea. Those who really mean well, because they are those, like you're saying, that really mean well. They genuinely really think that it stops at it being a lineage.
Right.
They really believe it's nothing more than a new way to say you are Black.
You're Black, right?
It's more definitive, more, more explanatory. A little bit more, it's not just Black, but Black American, without being confused with someone like my wife, who's from Jamaica and she lives in America. I get that, right. But that is not what FBA is. It doesn't stop there. It has a whole ideological framework that is anti-Pan-Africanist. We can stop right there. That is anti-Pan-Africanist. You look, even if you say you don't throw stones, you cannot say that FBA is not anti-Pan-Africanist. Although some of us
bask in it. They bask in being. They're proud to be anti-Pan-Africanist.
Right.
They don't, at least the ones that I've met, they don't shy away from it at all. They think that's part of, it's a badge of honor,
right,
to be anti-Pan-African.
And I get it. Like, you can't, like I can say, well, I understand the lineage part, but I can't ignore that it's anti-Pan-Africanist. I can't. Right. I mean, you can, like, I think Baba Kamene can act like he doesn't see that, but he needs to speak to that. I'll be honest with you. He needs to speak to that. I mean, I know Dr. Mayat's been on the thing, but she speaks to it. She's
right. I've heard her.
I've heard her saying?
Right.
So Kaba needs to be more clear, because I saw him on one of my homeboys' show a few weeks ago, and pretty much they asking him all these questions to really support the FBA madness. You know what I'm saying? My homie up in New York, I understand. Like they were asking these questions that just supported the FBA madness. Oh,
Right.
so in other words, we got an elder that's going to speak for us. Oh, and Kaba can see this, man. Kaba can see this divisiveness. He can he's turning his, I don't know, maybe he spoke on it because I don't really look enough, but I looked a little bit. I looked on his page and I see all this mess going on, but he's still pushing FBA strong. You know what I mean? FBA, look, then people talking about Dr. Smalls, and Baba Smalls is the reason why he going to this Pan-Africanism is back and really coming hard against FBAs because his money's drying up. What? And then I said, where's that coming from? And then I go and get this clip from my dear sister, and I listened to Tariq Nasheed, and this is what he said. And I'm done with Professor Smalls. I'm done with Professor Smalls because Professor Smalls, I'm taking family. Who you think I should put on the wall, on the mirror, and all this? Like, look, bro. Like you this is what you do. I mean, anyway, I don't expect you to do anything more. Let me back up. I don't expect you to do anything more because you utilize pimping skills. If people don't fall in place, you feel like you have the power. You want to remind people, look, you want to tell people's business. I gave them money and this and that and the other when he had this failing, all this type of madness, B. Like
it's pimping, it's all religion. It's and I mean, I'm not trying to, like, I don't want to throw religion in, you know what I'm saying, under the bus per se, but there's always been this long-standing like criticism of religion in general, that, you know, it's a tool to control the masses. And so, you know, there's big sections of the community who are divested from religion. You know, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, 600 on one hand, half dozen on another, but they're divested from religion. And so into somebody like Tariq Nasheed, who knows that even though you may have stepped away from religion, I can still get you with the same strategies. I'm not gonna say open up the Bible today. I'll just point you to a different book. I'm not gonna call it a sermon, but I'm gonna give you a feel-good speech to get you revved up.
It's stronger because you don't even know you in the cult. You don't even know
you don't know now.
And there's an entire book on Donald Trump by a cult expert named Stephen Hassan, or Stephen Hassan, and it speaks about the cult of Trump. And it talks about these very organized traditional cults, but then there's cults that are created through the society in different ways. And Tariq Nasheed has created a cult without really saying it's organized. In fact, it's much more safer because what he does is say, I am not your leader, so I can't be responsible for what you do. Quite similar to Trump. I cannot be, well, although he was the leader, but nonetheless, but I have nothing to do with what these people are saying. Again, he implants all types of ideas because he has an ideology that is rampant through FBA. And this person here says, that what I saw it earlier. He said that what do you think about that? Somebody said that Tariq, we're lying. Okay, he put Smalls on. You guys aren't truthful.
He put Smalls on?
He said, so Alonzo Robinson, dear brother Alonzo.
He put him on what? He put him on some of his videos, but Smalls was already a person with a name, with credibility, with credentials, with a teaching, background, with a status before the videos. That's just like if somebody was to say, well, I'm the first person to record Dr. Ben, so I put Dr. Ben on. No, Dr. Ben was already doing his thing before you picked up a video camera.
Now, look at this. I'm going to go here to reclaim Pan-Africanism is backed by the CIA, but I'm going to put that there for us to come back to. Oh, I think I can start, right? But I want to go here because, this is what happens. And this is what I want to talk about. I didn't read the whole comment. All I saw was the word, which is part of the ideology, what is part of the catechism or the catechism, what is a part of the FBA apologetics. It says
Right.
nothing wrong with delineation. Okay, why do you say that? When first and foremost, I and my dear cousin here said, Proper said, we get that.
Right.
That's what's really tearing up immigrants. That is not what's tearing up immigrants.
That's gaslighting.
Immigrants have already delineated from you. They would rather call themselves some other form of blackness. Or they will say, I'm a Jamaican American, or I'm just Jamaican. They don't even want to put the American on there. But they will say, I'm Bohemian, or although that's a little, still here. but they still would say, I'm Bohemian. But at the same time, people would say, I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Trinidadian, some of our brothers and sisters from the continent, for the sake of conversation, would say they're African. Although people saying they don't say that. For the sake of conversation, they tell you, like for me, I already understand. I said, where are you from? They say Africa. I said, no. I say, what country are you from? Right. Then we go deeper, tell me more about your nations and all this type of thing. What I'm saying is they understand this already. I've never met too many people that don't already understand this. They don't. I've never met too many Africans that come and say, I'm African American. And go ahead.
It's again, it's the whole thing is the statement itself. It's the same type of gaslighting. Okay, nothing is wrong with delineation. True, nothing is wrong. But I will say this first and foremost: if I say I'm an African American, that delineates me, and only because of Tariq Nasheed's talking points would anybody be confused. If somebody is like, people on the street on the regular ain't never heard of the FBA movement, ain't never heard of Tariq Nasheed and none of this. If I tell them I'm African American, they're not going to be like, I wonder, does that mean he's a descendant of slavery or not? It doesn't exist. The term that we have always had is already delineated. But okay, if you want to delineate further, again, I don't necessarily have a problem with delineation. I don't like the label because the label itself is an attempt from the CIA, from COINTELPRO, to detach us from the continent. So like, I kind of like what you said. Delineation, we are our own ethnic group, no matter what term we use. But the insistence that we use a term that deliberately detaches us from our continent, I got a problem with that. So it's not the delineation. And if all it was delineation, then you wouldn't have people screaming tether this and tether that and dirty immigrant and nasty immigrant and y'all this and y'all that. Nobody cares that you delineate. They care about all the other nasty vitriolic stuff that come out your mouth after you delineate. And you don't get African Americans talking like that. You get foundational Black Americans talking like that. You may get the American descendants of slavery talking like that.
Can I push back a bit?
Go ahead.
I do agree with you holistically. But if I had to really look at it, and I'm not sure, I don't have this data on it, so I can't push back hard. But I do know traditionally and historically, through my experience and many other people's experience, and through African-centered movements, it has been a goal to help Africans in America to see the beauty in their origin story, or their origin, their place of origin, which is Africa, because we've been taught so many nasty things, and we have so many nasty thoughts about Africa. So it's been the hard work of African-centered and Pan-African schools of thoughts to kind of allow us to see Africa in its beauty, because we've been taught so many negative things about Africa and African people, that we've done the hard work. And perhaps people like you who've been in this, I was a little boy in Proper Perspective. I don't know how old he was. He was just my big cuz, and he was already a dashiki wear. So
right.
But I was a little boy. He probably was like in college. I don't know if he was in high school. I don't know. He was just older than me. I don't think he's that much older than me though, to be like.
No, I think it's about I think it's probably just about 10 years.
10 years. Okay, so if I'm 10 and he's 20,
then yeah, if you was 10 and I was 20, so yeah, I'm already
or
in
if I
college.
was
Yeah,
5 and so maybe you were in college or something like that, and you're
right,
coming with your dashiki on and all that. But nonetheless,
right.
what I'm saying is I knew that he was conscious because my father was always a conscious brother, and he really
Right.
loved Larry. I'm sorry, I'm giving the wrong name right here. Pardon me.
It's all
But the
good.
thing is, okay, nonetheless, he's not new to this.
Mhm.
And what I'm trying to say is, we had to go through a movement to learn to love ourselves and
Okay,
ourselves,
yeah.
including our continent, because many of us don't hold tight, and we love to say we got Indian in our family, and I do have Indian in my family, that 1% that comes up in the panel sometimes, and it goes
Mhm.
away and comes back, and it go, that does happen. So you know what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, okay, you can acknowledge everything besides the African in you. You can acknowledge the European. You can acknowledge that the Americanist. You can acknowledge the Native American. You can acknowledge the Taino Indian. You can acknowledge all the things, but we've been
Mhm.
taught to hate Africa. That is why I'm saying that Black people have already in their minds delineated. Now, I do get this next point that might come up in their mind. So I do, the thought that they will say is this idea. They'll say, well, what about second generation? What about second generation immigrants? Because their children will
Mhm.
then become African American. Now, that right there, go ahead. What do you think about that? Look like you had some ideas.
Well, let me say this first. One of the things that I noticed, at least in the conversations that I was having, what I noticed was the first wave of the FBA conversation was really about reparations. And so a lot of times what was going on was, we need this new label. We need FBA as a label so that we can make sure when the reparations check comes, it only goes to those of us who descend from transatlantic slavery, the plantations of the South, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, I got you. But again, why all the negativity that comes after you create the label? That's where I have an issue. Now, what I then began to notice is, because the reparations talk only pops up during presidential campaigns. So after the November election day, nobody rocking the FBA wants to have the conversation about reparations anymore. And then delineation becomes it's our identity, it's our ethnicity, it's our label. And I'm like, but hold on. First off, you told me this was about reparations, and now don't nobody want to talk about reparations, and you ain't working on reparations. You ain't got no policies, you
Mhm,
ain't pushing no plans, you
mhm,
ain't talking. All you will talk smack about a representative
mhm.
if they there are representatives that had press conferences. We're going to introduce the legislation. Don't believe them, family. They're not FBA. Don't believe them. Well, if you're not going to believe,
They're saying that in the chat on us right now. They said
right, if you're
they're
not going to
questioning.
believe the one that says they gonna introduce it, then who you gonna believe? Because the other ones ain't gonna talk about it. But that was the first like wave of. So then once they want to stop talking about reparations, then they want to talk about this whole, it's our ethnicity or whatever else. And I'm just like, first off, pick a battle, stop switching, stop moving the goalposts. But again, now I'm kind of getting a little like lost in my thought, because there was something else that you had said about something that they were saying about
Well, they
the
were talking about the
delineation.
second generation, right?
Oh, the second generation.
Mm-hmm. And
Well, so
hold
again,
on. Let me let's do this. Y'all go over
okay.
to proper perspective or proper. What is it on YouTube?
Uh At the proper perspective.
At the
I'll
proper
put it.
perspective, make sure you subscribe to a station. Make sure you like up this video on both of our stations right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Some of y'all said y'all hearing a really cogent argument or discussion around this for the first time. We appreciate that. We also have plenty of material in here to show the talking points and the ideology, but also let's get back. So like this video, family, share this video. How can they follow you on YouTube, Instagram, and any other places?
Yeah, YouTube for sure. That's the only look, honestly, YouTube is the only one that I'm actively promoting, but I am on the others. I'll drop my YouTube page in the chat just so you know if y'all I would appreciate it if you come over there and hit the like button and subscribe and whatnot. I might draw a mental blank if I tried to tell you where all my other pages are. My Instagram is actually I think my Instagram is Proper Perspective.
Okay. So
but go ahead.
We'll get the link in there, but we got plenty of talking points in here, but also just the second generation. How did you differentiate between the second generation? Is there a need even listening to your point?
What I was gonna say is I don't necessarily know why there is a need. I understand the question and the issue, but I'm like, why do you need to delineate and identify the second generation from the rest of us? Like, again, the first wave of the conversations that I had with people, everything about the FBA movement was about protecting reparations. So I understood it. Okay, if reparations is on the table, yeah, a first generation, second generation, third generation Nigerian American don't need to be getting that check. I understand that. But if reparations is not on the table, then what difference does it make? That would be my that's my question on my position. But then even so, let's say reparations is actually on the table. I want it to be, but anyhow, if reparations is on the table, if you look at the legislation that has already been written, whether you like the legislation or not, the way the legislation has been written, it's baked into the legislation how they define the possible recipients. They're not defining the recipients in a way where a second generation African born Nigerian American can get in the line. They're not defining it in the legislation so that somebody that just got off the boat from Jamaica can get in the line. The way the legislation is written, it's baked in that you have to have been here for X number of years. You have to have you got to have at least one parent that was here for longer than that. Like if you wasn't here before 1960, you can't even ask the question. You can't even fill out the application. So you don't need the label even then. But like in my mind, people don't know this. Why? Because they only got into this conversation off of Tariq Nasheed, and he ain't educating nobody. He's telling you that if you don't create this label, then the Jamaican is going to get your check. And that's a falsehood. So again, it's like, I don't know how to care about a second-born Nigerian American. If they black, and they want to hang out and holler, and we want to kick it, and we want to go do this, that, and the other, then it's all gravy.
Yeah. I can only think about, I did a whole episode on me and Queen. Shout out to Black Box Radio on the whole idea about Kamala Harris and her ethnicity and all that. Was another situation. Now, I don't have to agree with people. Let me not get sidetracked. But nonetheless, this person says here, y'all are wrong. It's nothing more than a title for our lineage. Again, that's elementary argument. Again, I can prove to you. I've already shown that it's more than a lineage. A lineage does not have a lineage. There's no such thing as an identity without, in general, without some identity. And all identities have some social, political ideology or framing or some reason why it was created. And if you didn't repeat everything Tariq Nasheed said or other people, you know what I mean, then I would say, okay, if somehow even there's no label that is absent of some political a framing or understanding, or even the reason why it was developed in the first place is evidence that is more than the lineage. And then in fact to say that, see it's even when you say African or African's not a lineage, it can be a lineage. You know what I mean? It may not be. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
African is absolutely can be a lineage, especially for those of us who find ourselves in the West that are an amalgamation of so many various aspects of Africa, which we can support scientifically. Go ahead. You about to say something?
I was going to say, like, the idea that it is a lineage, it's like, okay, but if you trace your roots, or if you do a DNA test, your lineage started on the continent. Your lineage didn't start here. And so one of the things that I was trying to express to somebody, and I'm sure I didn't get like through to them, is like if we got in a time machine and we went back in time, and you talk all this mess about lineage, and you talk all this mess about honoring ancestors, if you go back to the time when whoever on your family tree was the first one thrown on that boat and brought over here, all they wanted was to get back to that continent. All they wanted was to reconnect to their mother, their father, their brother, their sister. That was part of their lineage. It's still part of your lineage today. You just don't remember because white folk did their best to cut you off from the knowledge of it. But that's still in you. That's still in your DNA. It's still in your blood. You just don't recognize it because somebody got you hot and bothered over a reparations check that ain't coming.
Listen here. This person, I don't know if it's, because I'll tell you one thing I know about FBA. They can send bots over too. So it's not always real people, but nonetheless, in fact, you see these type of things and, you go to their pages and you follow, there's nothing really there. But it's still good for the conversation. I appreciate it. So now all the things we're saying, and even is fair-minded for the most part that we're saying, this is a part of the philosophy or the ideology that I speak about. And they have certain what you call when you use, what is it called when you use a certain types of words? They call them in fields we use jargon. So the jargon that you find in FBA ideology is one part of it. Plebiscite, jealous, hating, plebiscite, babbling. And then they always have to end, look, with a word like this: buffoons. So now we are jealous. Who are we jealous of? To hating. How are we jealous of FBA if we're FBA from the way that you say we are FBA? You say we are FBA. If it was just a lineage, then you couldn't be saying that because I couldn't be separated from it, so I couldn't be jealous of myself. But nonetheless, maybe you're talking about Tariq Nasheed. I don't know. Jealous, hating, plebiscite, babbling buffoons. All right. Yes, Dr. Dennis Winkler, I listened to Tariq's broadcast last night to hear it for myself. Nasty work. Absolutely. Our lineage ain't no cult. You do sound like weird teachers.
Tethers.
Tethers. See, that's another part of the jargon. That's another part of the
lineage.
Huh?
What is that? Like, again, what is their lineage? They keep claiming the word.
I'm gonna tell you what they did. I'm gonna tell you who I'm going to say he's wickedly con artistry. I don't even want to say wickedly wise. Wickedly con artistry. My man, our dear sick brother, Tariq, instead of saying our organization, he had to create a word that he doesn't have to say organization.
Right.
So he says our lineage. He says the lineage. He says the lineage has to do this. The lineage has to do that. So they use it like, now you just take and really insert lineage for organization or whatever it is. So listen here, our lineage ain't no cult. So now think about it. Our organization ain't no cult.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? See, Tariq is brilliant in that way, that he uses the word lineage instead of our organization, our movement, sometimes things like that, that would point directly that he's a leader. So he says lineage instead of community, organization, so on and so forth. So they just supplant lineage for
and they
words.
And they parroted it back. Like, again, I'm like, lineage is descent from an ancestor. So, okay, yeah, your descent from an ancestor is not a cult, but your descent from an ancestor reaches back to Africa. You're an African. You're not a Nigerian. You're not a Tanzanian. You're an African American. You're an African in the West.
And if you want to switch it up and say you're an American African,
then you can
that's
do
like
that
a Nigerian African. You know what I mean? That's like so, and people say things like all types of stuff that doesn't exist. Well, the only, like, even in our own community, sometimes they say, well, there's no Chinese American. Yeah, it sure is. People in Chinese that have Asian descent or from China, they literally do say Chinese American. I know some of our own scholars said things like that, which is not accurate. Maybe it was accurate at one time, but it's definitely not accurate today.
Right, because the whole thing is, every group gets to pick and choose what label they use the most. Like a Chinese person or a Chinese American person, some will say, I'm just Chinese. Some will say, I'm just American. Some will say, I'm Chinese American. And in that regard, again, I don't have an issue with somebody saying I'm foundational Black American. If that's how you choose to identify yourself, that's why we can say things like, you clearly don't understand what's going on if you say we're jealous. You clearly don't understand what's going on if you say we're hating, because this is not hate.
This is love.
I don't have an issue, right? I don't have an issue with you saying I'm a foundational Black American. I have an issue with what comes out of your mouth after that. Like most foundational Black Americans, once they have established, this is my lineage, the next page is, I can't stand tethers. I can't stand Africans. I can't stand Jamaicans. I can't stand Trinidadians, and so on and so forth.
Look, right here. They said our lineage ain't no cult. You dudes sound like weird tethers. That's part of the ideological jargon. That again, which points back that this is more than a lineage, more than the delineation. Because now we are ousted as genetic. I mean, where our DNA can support that we are what you call FBA, and now you're calling us weird tethers. You know, like, can you oust me out of FBA since you say I'm FBA? I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, again, that's the whole thing. Like, that's when, now that's when the rubber meets the road when it comes to whether or not you're a lineage or you're an actual organization. Because if you're an actual organization, then yeah, we could be excommunicated for not following the teachings of the leader.
Well, even in Black identity in general, there's various social political ideas. William Cross and so many other people who have created these Black identity models, which actually show that how Black people identify and their political ideologies. There's different variations. There's a different variety. Hence, you have people always saying we're not monolithic. We need to be a little bit more. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is, you have a variation of how Black people identify. I could argue that FBA is one of those of the variety of Black identity. Now, some people are multiculturalists, some people are Afrocentric, and I now would say that some people are assimilationists, and some people I would say are FBA-ish. I'm more likely gravitate more to the African centeredness aspect of my identity, which is inclusive. See, let's talk about a few of these talking points that they say all the time. So they say that Pan-Africanists worry about what's going on in Africa, but not what's going on here, when the very founding fathers of Pan-Africanism was talking about issues here. In the United States. And then there's this other thing that, so yeah, you can do both. You can be concerned. Pan-Africans are concerned about their local issues.
Right.
And they also look at it from a collective struggle or power struggle, or the idea of combining forces and all these type of things. So anyway, there's we can see in both ends. Then there's this other idea that they keep saying, and I don't know why they keep saying it, but they keep saying that Jesse Jackson created the term African American, and they're asking us, do you want to follow Jesse Jackson? One, I don't hear Jesse Jackson on the soapbox trying to tell you what FBA is, what African American is, and what African American ain't. You know what I'm trying to, but two, he did not create the term. Go ahead, proper. You finish it for me.
No, you dead on. It's like, again, it's this whole thing. If you're only open to what the leader says, this is part of the problem. Tariq Nasheed said Jesse Jackson started it, and he's just wrong. But if you're only open to what Tariq Nasheed says, then it doesn't matter how many people tell you, how many people show you, how much evidence there is that he didn't start it. They're just going to parrot what he said. So again, they're just following the leader, which would be a sign of a cult. Now, like you said, even if he was right, even if he did start it, using the label doesn't necessarily mean you're following him. Just like technically using the label of foundational Black American doesn't mean that you're following Tariq Nasheed. Now, we can determine if you're following the person that you say created the label based on what you say after that, how you behave after that, and what you're into. If you think Jesse Jackson created the label, and you think that somebody that uses the label means they're following Jesse Jackson, then you'd have to go and look to see, well, are they an integrationist? Are they an assimilationist? If I'm an African American, but I believe in a total separation of the nations, just the way Elijah Muhammad said, then I ain't following Jesse Jackson. So the argument falls. Now, if I'm a foundational Black American,
hey, look, are you chopped in or I'm chopping? I think you might be gone. You might be gone. You might be gone.
If I'm a foundational Black American, but I don't believe in calling immigrants tethers, if I'm a foundational Black American, but I still want to know everything about the continent that I possibly can, then I'm not following Tariq Nasheed. But while you can find lots of African Americans that are not assimilationists, you cannot find a lot of foundational Black Americans that are anti or don't subscribe to or go the opposite route of Tariq Nasheed. So that's how, like, to me, that's one way that the argument falls down.
Yes.
So even if I were to say, okay, I agree with you, Jesse Jackson started the word, but the plethora of African Americans that go in a bunch of different ways than how Jesse Jackson works, talks, believes, acts, behaves, again, that shows that clinging to the label don't mean you're following the person you say created. You're only following that person if you are truly doing the things that that person says do. And that's what foundational Black Americans do.
At large.
And as soon as Tariq says don't use FBA, use lineage, they stop using FBA and use lineage. As soon as Tariq says don't use lineage, say delineation, they stop saying lineage and say delineation.
Yeah, it's a plan.
If Tariq woke up tomorrow and said, you know something, screw it, I was wrong, Pan-Africanism is true and live, and Africa loves us, then all them followers would then jump off this hate bandwagon and back onto the other one.
You're right. If people were literally using this as a lineage without all the other ideological components,
Mhm.
similar to what you're saying when we talk about African American, let's say hypothetically, or let's just go with the narrative that Jesse Jackson created African American.
Mhm.
When you juxtapose these two next to each other, you clearly can see that there's a difference.
Right.
And even African American has political, ideological underpinnings.
Right.
So what I'm saying, there's no separation. You cannot separate an identity. All identities have some ideological, some political underpinnings. The very construction of them, the very construction of identities is political.
Right.
So I understand that sometimes we don't understand it, but that's when we listen to people like Tariq Nasheed, who has no real scholarship. And even if you look, there's not much scholarship on FBA. There's more scholarship on ADOS, which is another
Yeah.
story. I think Tariq Nasheed and hijacked them and did a better job. But go ahead.
I was gonna say he did a better job in the
Biology.
In the social media sphere. He did a better
Yeah.
job in you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
One thing I do,
no, I'm
I
being
don't really
facetious.
like ADOS.
When I say I'm being facetious by saying better job. Like
Mhm.
I'm using better job is like I say sometimes we upset that white people, they've
Mhm.
done a better job at killing people. They've done a better job of
Mhm.
oppressing people. They've done a better.
Right.
So I'm saying something akin to that.
Right. I mean, I got you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying like I don't necessarily like ADOS either. But one thing that I respect about ADOS is their platform and whatever it is that they say they stand for.
Mhm.
They at least make efforts and attempts to establish it inside and within the government with the establishment so that they can get, like FBA will say, this is about protecting our resources,
Mhm.
but you ain't doing nothing to
Mhm.
protect your resources. You're just mudslinging on Instagram.
Mhm.
ADOS will say, this is about protecting our resources.
Mhm.
And then they go there and be like, okay, who's the person in charge? Which candidate is running for which office? And we only gonna vote for you if you say you're gonna do this, that, and the other. They're at least trying to politicize their ideology so that they can protect the resources they say they are concerned about.
Yeah.
FBA says y'all so interested in protecting your resources, you think you're going to get the money from the city government by calling the Jamaican dirty. Well, they ain't gonna get the check now. You just hit them with an adjective.
Yeah, that the approach is fallacious. So this comment here says, "Do you fellas have immigrant background?" See, this is another part of the jargon and
It
the
is.
apologetics, right? This is a
Mhm.
part of the apologetics. This is part of the catechisms. Um,
Mhm.
catechisms. Do you fellas have immigrant backgrounds? Because I find it hard to believe y'all are this one-sided. Now think about it. I think we've been nuanced in our discussion here today, saying that we can understand delineation and all that idea if it was just that. But see, so what are you defending? Are you defending the other aspects that you're saying you aren't? Because if it's only delineating in the sense that you're saying you're delineating, meaning that you want to show some the nuance in African Americans versus other black people of African descent, we say we understand that we understand that let's say intellectually. So y'all, so then he goes, or she or whoever, say, so y'all really think these people like us the way we've loved them? Go ahead. What do you think about it? I mean, I want to hit that, but
Okay.
who's
Well,
these
I'm like,
people?
first off,
Are we talking anecdotally first and foremost? Are we talking statistically? And how do you measure that? How do you measure if they like us or don't like us? And how do you measure whether we like them more? And what I'm saying, I'm talking about from a very social scientific perspective. How do you know? And where do you get your data from? You don't have any data to support that, I promise you. But if I want to speak anecdotally, hell yeah, my wife loves me. She's from Jamaica. Yes, and because I was brought up in a Pan-African household, African-centered household, I've never been taught to see this difference in all these other things. So I don't, I do see the ethnicity, but I do see her as my sister.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, I'm like, again, the question is, and I'm forgetting the term right now, but like it's posed as if it is a foregone conclusion that there's all of this proof that they don't like us, and that there's all of this proof that we've loved them more. Like, okay, as Black Americans here, there's a whole lot of proof that we have issues amongst ourselves. There's a whole lot of ways you can say, well, Black Americans, if we can't unite because we don't love ourselves, because we don't love each other. And if that is at least anecdotally true, or if we can show some stats, what is the love that we have supposed to have shown to the continent as a whole? What is the love that we have supposed to have shown to the quote unquote immigrants who have come over here? And at what level is that love so high that it's clearly not been reciprocated? Because I'm like, if like when they did the whole, like over the summer or whatever it was, when there was the big old FBAs jumping up and down talking about we gonna boycott all African businesses. And I was like, hold on. First off, what African businesses do you go to?
Oh God, that's a good question.
Like, I'm like now I go to African restaurants. You telling me I can't go to my favorite African restaurant because some woman in New Orleans got charged $400 for some dreads? I got a problem. But if you're going to boycott all these African businesses, which ones were you going to in the first place? I'm like, now my dentist is African. My mechanic is African. I can't use none of these people, even though they looked out for me, even though, my dentist found a problem that the white dentist before him couldn't find. My Liberian mechanic found a problem with my car that the white mechanic shop ignored. Now, to me, that's love. Now that's my anecdote.
Yeah.
But where is all of this hate that they say that they're cascading upon us?
And even we know that the hate itself was constructed, concocted, created by white supremacy ideology. It's kind of like colorism. Just think about it. This is more like 100%. Ethnicism. I don't know if this is such a word, but yeah. Like when you think about colorism, as some people say, there is, when you say colorism, sometimes it throws things off a bit. And then it then has us infighting even within our families. Oh, he's lighter skinned, she's darker skinned, this, that, and the other. Instead of calling it what it is, as many of our greatest scholars would say, racism. It's racism. Right. This is colorism is racism. And I'm looking for a term. I can't even think about it right now. When we have ethnic groups within infighting or fighting with, so ethnocentrism. That's probably the word. So Black or African ethnocentrism or within the group, or however you want to organize it. Nonetheless, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. That is still what we call racism. And I'm not saying there's never been squabbles and debate, beefs and things like that. But this ain't that. This is a higher level of concocted hate due to the. And you're talking about people who have been separated through the transatlantic slave trade, and these people. I mean, it's like they begin to protect the system and the dominant culture, which, if you want to call it that, white culture, by trying to supplant them with people who look like you and put the blame on them versus and not, at the same time lacking the ability to hold both, like lacking the ability to hold the white dominant culture responsible for all of the mess.
Right.
Responsible as puppet masters or puppeteers of the reality we find ourselves within. And I'm actually disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I mean, but I am disappointed. I'm disappointed in our brothers and sisters who say they've been in this. Let me say this. I understand why those of us who've been in African-centered thought and Pan-African thought and all these different movements for years, and we feel like we've seen no progress. We act as if not seeing the progress, although I would say there's always some progress, because resistance is progress when we're resisting against this thing. But we have to keep in mind that there's an enemy, or there's an opponent, or there's someone always at play, and even the things that we try to do, it will be met with the force of white supremacy ideology. It's not like they just going to turn it over. So when you see things fail, we start blaming on each other. But yes, it's a fight. It's a war. It's not going to be easy. So I know you want to throw your hands up and get tired of us. Oh, I see y'all in these black movements and y'all just this and y'all just that. You live long. Let FBA live long enough. You're going to get out of that too, because you're going to realize there's going to be infighting. And there's already infighting, and there's already splintering. The reality is we're fighting a greater enemy, and we're getting segmented and isolated and chopped up and all these different things to turn the fingers towards each other rather than the greater enemy.
And that's the whole reason why, like I said at the top, like the litmus test is always, are you coming together to fight, or are you dividing? And if you're dividing, you're gonna lose. Now you can't say you want to win and then keep separating and delineating and dividing until you just will end up being one man on an island. You have to figure out what, like I like to use Booker T. Washington's phrase. And sometimes people tell me I shouldn't use it because that's not how he intended it. I'm like, anyhow, we could be as separate as the fingers on the hand. But we come together. Once those fingers come together, that's a fist. So the foundational Black Americans is a finger. Nigerian Americans is a finger. Ghanaian Americans is a finger. Jamaicans and Caribbean Americans are a finger. And when we all come together, that's one fist. Well, you know what a fist can do. And so I'm like, because the whole thing is, if you're afraid, what did Snoop Dogg say? If you scared, go to church. If you are afraid to call out the white man, if you're afraid to call out Yurugu, but you still want to feel like you're a warrior, then you turn inward and you fight the people that look like you.
Less consequence.
Exactly. It's the same thing, because it's the same thing as the gangsters. You know what I'm saying? The gangsters was always like, I'll bust a cap in them. Yeah, but you won't bust a cap in a cop. But a black man step on your shoe and he can get deaded right then and there. That's a fear complex.
Absolutely. You see Anthony Matthews here says correcting the talking points is one thing, but the attack on this man seems like you on a crusade. So we think about that. Have we said anything in this live that is nearly as inflammatory as the things that our dear brother Tariq Nasheed says out of his mouth?
Yeah, I was gonna say what. Okay, if you, I'm glad that he's saying correcting the talking points is one thing. Okay, so you recognize that there needs to be correction to the talking points. You recognize that we doing that. Tell me, put it in the chat. Give us at least one example of us attacking this man.
Well, I would feel like he could probably say, when I say he's pimping people, Would you call that an attack?
I could see why somebody might say that. I don't necessarily like, okay, let's break down, let's understand the word.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's understand the word, because pimping is exploiting. Now,
So,
if I get you jazzed up, and then I say, to support this movement, send me $5.99, and I'm gonna send you this T-shirt with my new label on it.
mm-hmm.
Then it's at least a very thin line. It's at least a very thin line. Am I being sincere, or am I just trying to get your pockets?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Somebody
And it's
responded.
a whole lot of Tariq constantly tears people down on his social media channel when they respectfully and politely try to correct him on his misinformation. Now, I'm gonna say I seen that. Like, I was trying to just stay even keeled about things, and I was trying to, like, because I used to follow him on Instagram, and I used to, like, click on the links every time and I get a notification or whatever. And I just got to a point where I was just like, it's so vitriolic, it's so visceral,
Mm-hmm.
the way he go at people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is guttural. I can't have this kind of negativity in my cipher right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, okay, I can't take it no more. I had to unsubscribe. I don't need this kind of thing. But he does. He tears people down. And so I'm like, okay, life is a blood sport. Now, if you go tear people down, and if your people will help you and celebrate you for tearing people down, then they better have some thick skin when the tearing down comes home. Now, X Unknown says, we've helped all these folks. This is all cap. How do we help all these folks?
I think we've helped people. I think,
Okay,
but I
we ain't
also,
sent no armies. We ain't sent. Cuba sent military to South Africa. We stood. We marched.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We did pickets, and we did internal pressure. Yeah, we helped.
Yeah, on different levels, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, we of course in America we're not sending armies, but we're really captive. Like we're in a colonized a state here.
And
Um,
that's why I asked it though. That's like, I'm not trying to say that we don't help, but I'm saying there's a problem with this statement. We've helped all these folks. There's a problem with this statement.
I think, and I get what you're doing, and please do what you're doing. But I also just want to up front say that the opposite of it is inaccurate. So it said that's a lie. In other words, I also want to say they've helped us, but keep going.
Well, okay, and that's definitely a point. But I'm like, again, I'm like, what is the help that, like, I know I have heard them say, because of what we stood up for and marched for with the civil rights, that's how they got to come over here. And I'm like, okay, that's true. But for one, if we didn't want them to come over here, then we could have, should have demanded the legislation be written in a different way. We didn't see a problem with them coming over here. We wanted the numbers. Mm-hmm. We wanted more black folk to come over. Mm-hmm. So we wanted, or we allowed, or we agreed to have the legislation written up in such a way so that when other black people get here, they can be counted amongst us and we can get further down the road. Now, I know that there's some people that say, but we getting backburnered on that.
When I'm hearing you say this, right, what comes to my mind is, I think people struggle with holding all the variables together and at once. If they really listen to what we're saying, we're not even really in a real really outwardly saying, "Oh, we disregard the political, some of the things that you say you are." What we're arguing is all the things that you don't say you are that we know you are. So it's and what do I mean by that? I'm saying like, if you were just a movement and you thought that reparations was the best way to lead Black people and all that type of thing, whether I agree with you or disagree with you, I would still be, we can disagree. We can agree. We can agree to disagree, whatever, all that type of thing. But this is not what I'm talking about. I don't think that's what we are talking about. We are talking about this ideology that undergirds this FBA identity that denigrates our brothers and sisters across the ocean, across the pond, within this United States, and even us, which denigrates us for even thinking differently. And I would argue that it's more about the fraudulent behavior that we are like that at least I am arguing. I am not arguing your political position. Like, I'm not arguing the nation. I don't agree with the Nation of Islam political position wholeheartedly. I mean, all the way. But I'm not sitting here coming for the Nation of Islam. Right. I'm not sitting here, and if there's things that you can debate about any Black organization or whatever thing you like, Nation of Islam will probably say they're not an organization too.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, because everybody does that,
and it's a nation, and so on and so forth. But what I'm saying is, Tariq Nasheed ain't that. And this movement, FBA, if it was, I'm not saying it can't even clean itself up. If it gets away totally, maybe 50 years, we forget about the leader and so on and so forth, and it might become a pearl lineage or what have you. But why didn't you just choose ADOS? I mean, I don't know. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is, maybe they like the terminology. Maybe they don't want to be the descendant of a slave. But what I'm saying is, I am not debating. I don't think Proper is debating the that you have a political identity in a way you think we need to go about curing some of our issues as FBA. Is these other talking points, these other gaslighting tactics, these other divisive tactics, just even what just happened with Baba Smalls, is problematic. And that Tariq Nasheed is the godfather and can do that. And just, and I get it, but Tariq Nasheed, unquestionably, he's questionable. And I think he's more than questionable. So I can't dismiss that he exists and he's leading a divisive movement. All the other ideals, the ideals of us getting reparations, whether I agree with that or haven't made my mind up completely or what have you, I'm not against it. Do you? If that's how you want to contribute to the Black community, if that's how you want to do it, and without causing more division, do it. But it ain't that.
Exactly. I mean, again, like, one of the beginning, waves that I was introduced to FBA was through the reparations movement or the reparations call. And I was just like, for me, I'm like, anybody that wants to stand up for reparations, I'm there. What's going on? Where do we need to meet? When are we going to have the conversation? When are we going to have a march or whatever it is? Now, again, when I show up and, like, you make this big whippy do, we're going to have this conversation about reparations. I show up and you talking about, and this literally happened, and you talking about the Black British actor that just got chose in a movie. I'm like, what the fuck? What? And then I go to the next meeting, and now you're talking about the Jamaican actor that got chosen for this movie. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we was here for reparations. And so I'm just like, again, you can put something on the flyer, but then when we show up and you ain't even discussing what was on the flyer, I got a problem. I got an issue. And you know, if you want to call yourself foundational Black American, I'm not mad at you. Kuja Chagalia says self-determination. Call yourself what you want to. Now I can simply say I don't like the label. I'm not going to use the label, but I'm not mad at you for choosing the label that you choose. And I say that because I was calling myself an African when people was only warming up to African American. And they was looking at me like, why'd you drop what happened to the hyphen? Why you drop that? I'm like, look, you ain't got to ride with it. Just understand I'm on something else. So I'm well used to not being in the thick of the fold. So you can call yourself foundational Black American. But again, my question is, if you truly about your lineage, if you truly about preserving resources, and if you truly about reparations, then you would spend way more time working on and talking about that. When you get online and if you got a 1 hour live, if you got a 5 hour live, and 4.5 hours is talking about a nasty Jamaican, a dirty Ghanaian, a evil Tanzanian, a bad breath Somalian, I'm like, yeah, well, what was the legislation we were supposed to be calling our congressman about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that don't matter now. Now it just matters that we delineating. Nah, I don't, you know, this is some Jim Jones Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to say Marcus Garvey, Claudia Jones, Stokely Carmichael, Walter Rodney, Franz Fanon. So many. I mean, I think the list can go on. And I know people would try to throw Garvey is under the bus now and all these different things and so on and so forth. But all these people we've always worked in tandem with. In fact, they were working here for our liberation. Because, in fact, we have to also see ourselves as the epicenter of Black folks to some degree. And what I mean by that is that the hate, look. We like, pardon this analogy, but if we had to look at all the African nations and we had to say which nation is the house Negro, I'm not saying that others don't act more house Negro-ish. But what I am saying is we in the house.
We quite literally are geographically placed.
Yes, and sometimes the house Negro gets unwarranted attack. Because people feel like that they can't trust that house Negro. Because that house Negro is close to master. And we are in this United States here, which sometimes blinds us to the reality of other people. And what I'm saying metaphorically is that they gonna be some people that hate on you because you in a house. And I think we have to understand that position and that positionality. And sometimes I think we think that we are a little better, even us, than others because of our positionality. Versus saying, you know what, you have more access to the crumbs. Your crumbs are a little bigger. In fact, those crumbs are bigger so that you can join the forces of being a assimilationist American. Foundational.
Yeah. That's what they want. And I'm like, to me, I mean, to me, that is really the hidden hand behind the foundational Black American label, movement, ideology. The ADOS label, movement, and ideology. They want you to identify with America, Uncle Sam, this government.
Hold up, cuz. Hold up. Look, they ain't even denying it. We built this house. let me go back. They saying, yeah, we built this house. Then they going back to say we are better because my ancestors made it better for us. you hear what I'm saying? See, I'm doing a psychoanalysis. I'm psychoanalyzing the mindset. You see what I'm saying? So I always do a social psycho conceptualizations of what's really going on, and they say yeah, and they say and FBA power about it. We are better. That's what they saying. So okay, go ahead.
I like this comment. H. Rap Brown was FBA and passed away, and Tariq never made a video about him. I mean, Tariq is constantly, again, if you were truly concerned with FBA issues, then you would spend more time uplifting FBA and not tearing down non-FBA. The proof is always in the pudding. You know, you Pan-Africans, foundational Black American, we, you know, those of us who are rooted in the soil of the United States, but have an ideology of Pan-Africanism, our lineage may be foundational Black American, but we pay attention to our elders and we try to big up our elders. We try to spend more time bigging up our elders than tearing down anybody else. Tariq Nasheed wants to tear down everybody else.
Yes, he wants to tear down.
That's it. That's all he wants to do. He get his algorithm is based on who can I point a finger at now? Who can I say something nasty about now? Who can I say something slick about now?
When you think about, I mean, I hate to go to like Paulo Freire, in his book Pedagogy of the Oppressed. There's a term that comes to mind when I think about Tariq, and it's called a sub-oppressor. Not necessarily the ultimate oppressor, but Tariq Nasheed is a sub-oppressor. And he used the same tactics that the dominant culture uses, if you want to call it that, to keep people in their place. And he does, and even the game of what his philanthropy, his philanthropic endeavors is to have you respect him. It's always a chess move. Understand that he's a wickedly I like to say, I don't want to say wise. What's the word I said earlier? But he's intentional about the things he does. It just like people, all like other capitalists. You give, and then so that you can say, "Look at what I did."
Look what I did.
Somehow, for people who are less able to see through the charades or the mirage or what have you, that you did that so that you can hit me in my heartstring, and that right there then protects you against the negative thing you've done. Because not only did you support somebody, you supported Dr. Baba Smalls. Not only did you support somebody, you supported Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Not only did you support somebody, you supported our heroes and sheroes, those who you at any chance if they step out of line in your ideas, you can now dethrone them because somehow you become the big puppet, the sub puppet master. And again, you have to understand the ideology of a pimpologist. They make chess moves to hit you in your heartstrings to have you feel something more about them, and they have exploited people for in every way they can. They fundraise for Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors was trash, first of all. I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying the people on it was trash. I am saying the way that it was organized, some of the fallacies that has been presented, and all that type of thing, and the way that he positions himself as the one of the primary scholars from the beginning has been I saw it from the beginning. Many of us can't see things like that. He was no scholar. He's no scholar. But what he has done is he utilized these scholars around him, and then he parroted their talking points, even outdated talking points, because on the very film where he had Baba Ranoko Rashidi on there speaking about, Tariq Nasheed was talking about there was no more Tasmanians left. And because that was research that Baba Ranoko Rashidi had brought to us, he had later recanted with further investigation and experience and all that. But Tariq Nasheed in the documentary, after he recanted it years later, I'm talking about it was years before that he recanted that statement that Tariq Nasheed had parroted like it was some information that was up to date, and he had the man on the video with him. If he would have consulted, or I don't know how he puts these things together. Does he run it past the people who speak and say, "Look, what do you think?" I'm pretty sure Baba Ranoko Rashidi would say, "Okay, that part of we've already dealt with that. That's no longer true." But when
he don't do that. He breaking them off some bread to be a part of the project, and then he running doing his own thing. That's just the name of the game. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, now, me personally, I liked the DVDs when they first came out, but I never looked at him like he was a scholar. Like, I looked at him like he was the host.
So, me, I'm hard, and I like to say I know that wasn't scholarship. Umar Johnson ain't scholarship. I'm sorry, he's just not.
No, and I never thought of either of them as scholars. Now, some of the other people on there I thought were scholars, but I was just like, I remember even like having conversations with folk, and I was just like, I'm gonna slow down. I ain't gonna try to like punch in on this, because I think even one of my nieces hit me up one day and was like, "Have you ever heard of this thing, Hidden Colors? Have you ever seen this? This thing is so informative. I'm learning so much." And I was like, "I ain't gonna rain on your parade. Go ahead, open your mind. Just go." I'd like, I'll talk to you later and correct some shit later down the road. But I never looked at him as a scholar.
Well,
I looked at him as a host.
Let's keep going though. Like at the very beginning, then you got Reverend Phil Valentine. I mean, he's not a scholar.
Yeah, I ain't never. I mean,
the more I go, the more I can show you how it wasn't really scholastic.
For me, it's all the only scholars that really, my go-to scholars was Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and check on to Diop.
And those after that, we don't respect our true scholars, the ones you just mentioned. Even Baba Anthony Browder, he was on there, but like they underplayed the real scholars while they put all this extra mess around it. And the real scholars are the ones who they built, they put them on there to say, look, you
get the credibility.
To get the credibility. And that is what Baba Smalls has been used for. How Baba Smalls has been used, and that's how Kaba's being used. And I'm not sure if Kaba's willing to wake up yet.
I don't really want to say nothing about Kaba.
I mean,
I think I think I had like found out some stuff about him, and I was just like, he won't in my top 3 anyhow. So I don't know.
You trying to do what you said. You trying to give some respect to the elders.
And I know Dr. Umar ain't got no credits with you, but I always had like a certain modicum of respect for Dr. Umar for his hard press insistence on Black men and Black women getting together and sticking together or staying together and that and whatnot. And so I kind of that was another one of my litmus tests. If I'm gonna respect you like that, then
his wife's Black, man. She been here. She been here.
Been here. What you mean? Okay, maybe I got the wrong brother, but. And I don't know. It ain't like I can call them up and be like, "Is this you?" But
no, you talking about that
some
white
folk
lady?
Passed some pictures. No, some folk passed some pictures.
That wasn't really. You talking about that white Kemetic lady that they put him out there with?
I didn't go that far. I know it was a white chick, and like and brothers and sisters was both.
That's not his wife.
This the wife.
That's not his wife. I got a picture with his wife and my wife. When he came to CNET some years ago, respectfully, he's never He's never. I've never. I mean, I think he's again being used.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes certain things can cloud our judgment. And I'm
Mhm.
talking about all of ours.
Right.
So, and sometimes again, trying like Baba Kaba and Baba Smalls have always been the ones who want to unify with certain with all of us. And
With everybody.
sometimes I think that sometimes we don't really see that we don't see the ill. Like me, I
Mhm.
study personalities. And you
Uh-huh.
have to be able to see that certain personalities are not going to change. Personality
Right.
is a rigid construct. And there's something about this charlatan personality. And that's why
And that's
even
the
with
thing.
Umar Johnson, the thing is, to me, to talk a thing and not to act on a thing is not to be doing the thing. So it's best that you just shut up, because to talk about male and female, black male and women coming together, and you don't actually do the thing, and
Right.
you also disrespect black, because this ain't no look. That's the other thing FBA saying. They trying to pull Umar Johnson out here like somebody is like falling dumb for Umar. I'm not falling dumb for Umar or
Right.
Tariq or Sidnetta. I mean, look,
Mhm.
Sidnetta done chilled out a little bit. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. But what I will say is Umar and Tariq, they have some issues that
Mhm.
they are not willing to allow
Mhm.
people to help them. They have some
Right.
they have some thinking patterns, some behavioral patterns that
Right.
guides the way they do things. And they
Uh-huh.
all denigrate the very black women that we're talking about. The both of them denigrate the very black women we talk about. So no respect, not at all, just to talk. See, snake oil salesmen will say
Uh-huh.
what they know that you want to hear. But
Right.
how are you living it? I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but goddamn, they
Mhm.
far from perfect.
Hey, 100% right there. I shall, because I'm like, you know, like I said, I always had like this modicum of respect and hope for Dr. Umar. Right out the gate, I was like, yes, please build a school. But after the first round of the attempts at the school, I was just like, I wish you never would have opened your mouth about a school, because like you ain't even cut from the cloth where you can say, my bad, we just not gonna do it, and we gonna move on to something else. You ain't
Why
even
would
cut
you
from
even
that cloth.
imagine? Let's see. We too nice. See, again, we're too nice. We don't see the sickness in him.
No, I think no. I'll be first to admit I didn't see him as a sickness, at the beginning, but over the years, like it's easy to forget how long he been doing it. So after some time, I did finally, recognize and realize it ain't gonna happen. This ain't gonna work, and he ain't got it in him. Like he don't even have it in him to pivot.
Let me.
He's going to continue.
He will. And people
He
say,
he,
I
he
hope.
can't pivot.
I hope he gets to school. I'm not saying the school won't open. It's just going to be more of a problem.
Yeah,
Because
that's the thing.
you get more power and influence. It's more trickery. If he wanted to really be a real fraud, open the school. And now he has more power than he could ever think about. Because
And more responsibility.
the
It's gonna
responsibility
be,
it's going to be more
just to have it
responsibility.
open for one semester
It,
is going to be
it,
like,
it's going to he might get locked up. I don't think he can handle himself. But it's probably in his best interest that he doesn't open the school. But I want to talk about a serious thinker right here, right? I think
okay.
this is Baba Imhotep 5 to you, right? And I want us to really think about, like, one of the things that, he just came to my school the other day, and I'm telling you, Baba Imhotep, the war is real.
Mhm.
And the war is real because one of the things that Baba Imhotep always speaks about is this thing, and even that our elders have spoken about, and he echoes it, right? That we really have to look at this thing in a different way. Because
Mhm.
even the very ideas we think we have that are helping us are hurting us. The
Yeah.
philosophies, the ideas, the ideologies, if you're not, and I'm going to say most of us are not,
Mhm.
we don't understand the significance of of building off of white frames.
Right.
You know,
Right. That's a hard one.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, FBA is a white supremacy frame. I put a post out
Yeah.
yesterday. I want to talk about it. I want to bring people on. Like I thought Dr. Maya earlier, I'm going to look, it's time for us to get, we need to unite forces. People, those of us who truly have hearts for our people, who identify as Pan-Africanists, African-centered, Black, whatever you identify and you love Black people, we can look past the label.
Right.
I'm talking about really love Black people across this world. And you want to see us do different. We want to really show up with a force, with a level of, I'm saying like respect. And I'm not saying respect those who don't respect us in a sense, but I'm saying is with a level of decorum in professionalism. I'm talking about African-centered professionalism, a Pan-African professionalism. Sometimes you need to smack somebody upside their head, but what I'm saying is don't be a fool. So I'm saying is we need to bring and we need to continue these strong discussions and not become fools, but really help our people, because our people are really hurt and sick out here right now. And the thing is, even our brothers and sisters from the FBA, I'm sorry to say it like that, but I understand why they think that way. I see the hurt. I understand the pain. So I don't want to beat up on them, but I do want to say, you mean well, a lot of you, but you don't understand that you're utilizing a Eurocentric framework.
Well, that's why it's like, again, if
hold on, cuz somebody said, laughing out loud, FBA is going to make you unite finally. If that's what it takes, if that's what it takes.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, because again, the question is, whatever your thought process is, whatever your ideology is, what are the, like, because this is one of the things that, I had a couple of them trying to come at me with, what are the tangibles? What are the tangibles of Pan-Africanism? I'm like, well, what are the tangibles of FBAism? What are the tangibles of this delineation? Because again, if we start talking about reparations, resource preservation, access to cash and capital and homes and jobs and all of this, again, there's nothing on the FBA platform that's getting you job skills or an education or a car loan or a house loan, or like, now you might, even if you might can say, okay, well, Pan-Africanism ain't did nothing. Pan-Africanism is giving you a perspective. Pan-Africanism is giving you at least the ability to understand who your enemy is. FBAism is not giving you the ability to understand who your enemy is. FBA got you thinking that other kinfolk, other skin folk are your enemy. Pan-Africanism at least tells you, no, the enemy is that man in the White House. The enemy is that senator in your at the top of the ticket in your state.
You know what? This will reinvigorate. I'm just thinking about that comment. It is essential for some things like this to happen, because I think to some degree, people who consider themselves Pan-Africanists, we kind of got rocked to sleep in thinking that somehow I'm talking about those, not those who was steadfast in study, but many people who took to that idea or ideology, that framework, that way of intervening, engaging, and bringing about African sovereignty. Somehow, see, liberalism is very tricky. You will begin to think you won something in this country due to the liberal agenda or the liberal, let's say, democratic, feminists, all these different intersectional thoughts that seem like that we have arrived, but really these were not. And And at the same time, all these, but African-centered thought was always, it was pigeonholed even more. We thought that they were allies, but they were lies. You follow what I'm saying? They were lies, and they push you down and truncate you. And in fact, what a lot of people in FBA believe is that somehow this country, in the way that it's constructed, is going to give you something to liberate you, or you're going to simulate it and simulate in it enough that somehow you're going to reach the promise. I don't know what they think they're going to believe. But you're never going to, your enemy is never going to give it to you. And I don't think they see, I think they see us as the enemy, not necessarily the dominant quote unquote culture in this society. And they do. And go ahead.
It's the underscore of why I personally have so much of a problem with them, because they really do think that Pan-Africanism is the reason we have not advanced.
Absolutely.
So, you know, they really do think so. And again, so they think the ideology of Pan-Africanism is why we didn't get the reparations check. They think the presence of Jamaican immigrants, Haitian immigrants, Ghanaian immigrants is why we didn't get the reparations check, or why we don't have an extra seat on the school board, or why, you know, the Democratic Party won't put a real black person on the ticket. And it's like, no, none of, again, you're not looking at the enemy. You're looking at your own camp, and you're saying, well, we must have dropped the ball.
They don't want to fight. Let me tell you, this is what people say when they don't want to fight. You see what I'm saying? And, and they look for all the reasons not to fight. So again, what they would do, they would say, well, look, let's say you have children, I have children. This is one of the things that we say even in our communities. What I hear people say, they like to look and say, well, look at their children. They taught them all that African stuff. Look at them. They always look for the child that may have not come out, who going through some struggles within this society with set traps, and always they're not keeping that. See, not astute enough to hold several things together simultaneously and realize that just because I'm fighting and I'm teaching and training and educating my children or whatever doesn't mean that this system is not fighting back.
Always.
So they will blame it on the Africanity or the Pan-African thought or the African-centered thought rather than the system that this person may have stumbled upon a trap.
Right.
But there is, look, let me tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. When you think about Pan-African thought, African-centered thought, I am telling you, it is so much further advanced than most of these. I'm going to say all these things. Look, I'm just going to say it. Than all these frameworks. And what I'm saying is how you treat your women, how you treat your men, how you treat your family, how you eat. I mean, and I'm saying it's not even, I hate when people say the whole idea of it's not even monolithic. It does so in plural ways how you can uplift your community and love one another. It's more about interconnectivity versus this whole idea of intersectionality, what has us pointing the fingers at each other. Because at the end of the day, if we keep pointing the fingers at each other, that is exactly what they want.
Right. Because it keeps you, it's being in a perpetual circle jerk.
So how long you trying to go to 10, or how much more you got?
I mean, it's up to you. We can go to 10 and then say, you know, thank y'all for listening.
Some people saying drop the links.
Drop the link. Oh, because they want to get on the platform and spaz off about shit. It's up to you if you want them to come on or not.
You know what I realized?
What?
One thing I realized is I have been so open to hearing people out. But now I realize I don't have time to waste.
I feel you there. I'm like, look, I have tried to. I went on a brother's show trying to have a conversation, and only to realize, you know, I tried to take him at his word. He was like, you know, I'm not one of those gotcha type dudes or whatnot. And like 10 minutes into the conversation, he was knee deep in gotchaism and was cutting off my microphone and everything. I'm like,
so yeah, that's why I'm not playing games. Drop the link. Somebody says, right. Let me show you. Let me show you how the ideology has FBAers moving.
mm-hmm.
Then it says, I don't know what that means, but it says, what does it say? Drop the link. We get already.
We
get
it already. I guess.
Then it says these niggas scared. You see, this is
because they just
the mind frame, and you want me to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't call you out your name yet, B. So what I'm saying is, Aaron, you've been on here doing your thing. I didn't call you no names yet. We ain't call you no names. I mean, we are holding accountable your cult leader. Well, let me back up. We are holding accountable your thought leader.
Your thought leader, your influencer.
Your influencer. We are. Because he needs to clean up. And if in all the things he said in his mouth, look, you repeat them. These niggas scared. Look, now, you know, you called me a nigga, and somehow you think I want to bring you
dialogue.
Yeah, like what's the deal?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
No, I'm just saying, just like, because again, if there was something of substance that they had, then they could at least put it in the chat. Like if you say something that is truly of substance, you put it in the chat, and then we could be like, oh, well, maybe we need to hear more of that. But if all you're going to do, even in the chat, is to simply repeat the defensive remarks that Tariq has already said, well, if we didn't believe it when Tariq said it, why are we going to believe it? Because you rechatted it, you retyped it. What's wrong with delineation? That's one of his whole, that's it. Like he got a whole spiel on that. And if we say, well, we can tell you what's wrong with delineation. First off, it's half-baked. Second off, you are deliberately cutting your delineation off in America.
So listen here. He says they want to talk amongst each other, laughing out loud. Then he says, don't be scared. Then he says, we'll keep it clean 100. And then he says, look. And then I'm supposed to let you on.
But you're going to keep it clean.
Because at this point, you're not acting like an adult.
Exactly.
And I'm supposed to bring a child on here. You see what I'm saying? So if you were acting like an adult, I could talk to you. But maybe look, hit me up. You know, let me see. Look up my college email address, because I want to give you my personal one. Look up, send it to I don't even want to give you my college, because then y'all.
I wouldn't give him the college one.
No. Y'all wouldn't even want to do that. So nonetheless, I'm like, look, hit me on my messenger on YouTube, on Facebook, or on what's that thing called, Instagram, or hit give me your email, do something, and leave something in the comments so we can talk. But nonetheless, RIP Africanism, good riddance. But what I wanted to say is, some people say, well, you know, these other people never been Pan-Africans, you know, and I'm saying, so, you know, the argument I never hear people say, they literally say they never been Pan-Africanists. Even they have a whole religion that's Pan-Africanist from out of this, that hails from where? Jamaica. Rastafarian.
Right.
Pan-Africanist religion. You know what I'm trying? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, where do they get these things from, bro?
They getting it all from Tariq Nasheed. Again, if you had something of substance, then you would say more than the titles of his lives. You would say more than the opening talking point of his conversation. When they say Pan-Africanism is one-sided, yeah, that's what Tariq said. Explain how it's like. If you really got something to say, then put it in the chat. Explain how Pan-Africanism is one-sided. If you really got something to say, explain the talking point.
And you know what I realized? They are skilled in FBA apologetics, they will never respond to the very facts that you give them. They would never. They would never dispute them. They just go to another thing. Right. That's what
they just goalpost. They goalpost.
They would let me come in Top Flight TV. You want to appear authority yet hesitant to stand on people. Look, and guess what? They are the best type of gaslighters, and they think that somehow they calling names and saying you're weak. These are bully tactics you saw in middle school, isn't it? Like, you scared. You scared. Say you're scared.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's like that only works on the playground. That only works with the child.
At this point,
it doesn't work with grown men. It doesn't work with adults and sober-minded individuals. Again, if you really had something to offer, to say of substance, then you would have put it in the chat.
So yeah, if there was something I agree. I think I think that's a little bit over the head, but nonetheless, before we, hey, cuz, well, you got anything in closing? Because at this point, I think we've done our work, our job here. We appreciate all the FBA people stopping by. We love y'all, believe it or not.
I mean, I don't have an issue with FBAs delineating and saying, I'm proud to be this melanated individual who lives in the United States and whose family survived the transatlantic slave Holocaust, the Ma'afa. I don't have a problem with people who say that. If that's all you said, then we good. We can go break bread and get on about the business of advancing the community. But that ain't where y'all stop. Absolutely. And that's the problem.
Absolutely.
Y'all never stop there. But that's, I ain't gonna say too much more.
Bob Imhotep said, they are not on your level. Do not entertain them. Their language reveals the quality of their mind. Ashe.
100.
And I used to be, all right, let's try the dialogue. But somebody had the name intuition up there earlier. Yeah, my intuition. I'm intuitively listening to my intuition. That makes sense. And I'm not, going to allow you to make this a clown show, because we had a beautiful talk, me and Big Cuz, you know what I mean? And there's so much beautiful things going on in our Pan-Africanist spaces. There's so much beautiful things going on in our African-centered spaces. We are not deluded by the idea that we haven't done anything. We know we've done many things. Right. I mean, you couldn't even hold the bootstrap of what Pan-Africanism, Afrocentrism, and other forms of even serious Black thought has given to this world. We're also not deluded by the idea that there's things that help you survive in this country, and just survival type programs, and then there's liberatory things. And what you're talking about has nothing to do with the end goal of liberation and African sovereignty. What you're doing is trying to integrate. So when I think about William Cross's Black identity model, I would imagine that FBA should have their own category. William Cross has passed on now, but assimilationist is one of the categories, and I think that they will fall in that category to some great degree, and they will also fall into that, and perhaps maybe another category. They'll probably score high on those levels. But nonetheless, I'm speaking a bunch of social science, which is above their leaders' pay grade. And I don't want to bore you with all of that type of thing, because somehow we listen to unqualified people. And again, I'm not saying people have to go to school, because I will say that one of the greatest thinkers of this time, as it presents in our era, we have Brother Imhotep on here. We have Dr. Mayat. I'm going to tell you, cuz the reason why I asked Big Cuz to come on, because he's a serious thinker. Go over there and subscribe to his channel. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying serious. Huh?
No, I said, yeah, come on, hit my channel up.
Go over there and subscribe to his station. Go, FBA people, go over there and heckle him a little bit. Heckling helps, heckling helps.
True that.
What you got, cuz?
No, like I said, I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate, the big ups and the holler out and telling people to follow me and whatnot. Is this definitely a much needed conversation? I think because one of the things I realized is that these FBA folks, like, they work every day. They work every day to tear down Pan-Africanism. So if Pan-Africanists are not working every day to explain, defend, and fight back, then that's on us. That's our fault. That's
Listen,
and we're gonna end up being the losers of the thing.
listen to the implication here. FBA really got people in the feelings. This is so sad. You said I'm FBA just by my birthright, and now you said FBA got people. I thought I was FBA. So FBA, if you had to turn around, got people in their feelings. Listening to your logic, you and your feelings. So yes, FBA. I mean, if I'm FBA by my birthright, then I must have, like, what are you talking about? See, that's again how we know it's an organization. An unorganized organization, a loosely organized organization, whatever you want to call it, or thought form, or ideology. That's really what it is. It's an ideology. You cannot escape it. Huh?
It's a COINTELPRO cult.
Yes, you can't. People, well, Pan-Africanism is ideology and FBA is a lineage. No, FBA is an ideology. It is an identity. It says things about lineage, but also you can't say that being African is not a lineage, or even Pan-African is not more of a collective lineage of African people that find themselves within different nations, including the American African. I mean, you might not agree with that conceptually, but I mean, if you could try, see, I can understand FBA conceptually, whether I agree with it or not. But if you can't understand African conceptually, then see, it shows you that you see. That's why I'm saying that we are able to hold nuance here. We're able to say, whether I agree with it or not, I understand why you think is important, whether I agree or not, whether I agree with the political goals, whether I agree or disagree, whatever. I can hold that I understand why you believe that is significant.
Right. Ancient Henry Turner was one of the first to advocate for some form of reparation in the U.S.
Oh, say that because if you're gonna read it, let people hear it.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, Bishop Henry McNeil Turner was one of the first to advocate for some form of reparation from the USA government in the late 1800s. Bishop Henry McNeil Turner was a Pan-African advocate.
Ashe.
Again, like, I don't know. Like I said, the whole thing is, if FBA is just a label, then we don't got no problems.
Top Flight TV said, I can express myself better if you let me in. I'll tell you what to do. Go ahead, go to ChatGPT and speak what you want to say to us into it. It will bring it, make it clear, and just put it in the thing.
Put it in the chat.
Yes, go ahead, cuz I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, again, if FBA is just the identity label, I ain't got no smoke with you. It's all the other stuff that comes attached. Now, this is the very essence and definition of nuance. This is how you show and prove I'm not mad at you and I'm not banging on you. But even when you say this, they still come back with negativity, viscosity, vitriol. And I'm like, well, then see, this is why we got a problem. Because you don't just want a label. You want something else. And the thing that you want is not something that's going to benefit you or the community. What you want is division. That is all you want, is division. You don't want the reparations check. You want to argue about the reparations check. You don't want a bill or a policy anywhere. You just want to argue with people. And you want to put them down so that you can feel better. And what do you have after that? You still don't got the reparations check. The like I said, the congresswoman that said she was going to back the bill after the elder died. She said, because he's no longer here no more, I'm gonna back the bill and introduce it into the House. And all these FBA people on various channels don't believe them, don't trust them, don't support them. I thought you wanted the reparations check. She really from Jamaica. She ain't gonna really stand up for it. Well, none of the ones from the US said they was gonna back the bill.
They say you whining, brother. They say we whining.
Okay. Then give me a glass and I'm gonna pour it in. I like sweet red wine. I'm a wine.
Whining is therapeutic.
I'm a wine all day. I'm a wine all day.
You see what I'm saying? That's that. Like, you know what? As a child, right? What you might not know is that part of the reason why I didn't succumb to many things because peer pressure never pressured me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I lived around a real rough neighborhood, but you know, as some people say, my parental pressure was a little stronger. You know,
right?
So you know, so my elder pressure is a little stronger. That's why we respect the elders. But
exactly.
I don't even know if you're a peer. I'm assuming you're not by the content that you put out there, and I don't really deal with, you know, and children need to stay in their place. But go ahead.
Exactly, because again, that's from the same person that said I can explain myself a lot better. I'll be good. I'll talk clean.
In love,
and then
in love. I tell my son all the time, in love. In love. I love you, but you're gonna have to do something. I tell my to whatever. You gotta tell him, look, gotta do something a little different there.
Exactly.
You know? In love. You know? You know, we all need mentors, jegnas, or whatever. I know FBA doesn't want to use the word jegna. So a mentor for you. We all need mentors. Exactly. Y'all want cheese with that wine? You know, I think what's that sister named Tasha K? What she do? Wine something? She maybe look, go and do a video. Look, we're not gonna let you in, but this is what I was saying. Go and do a response video and make sure you tag us in it. Make sure, look, I'm Dr. Dennis Assault Winkler. Were you Professor? How do you
at the proper perspective. Your brother Shabz, sometimes Professor Shabz, but at the proper perspective.
Look, go and do a response. You got YouTube. You know, you have StreamYard. You have all the capability. We will hear you out, and we will respond.
Exactly.
You know, so look, look. When you come out and say things, it's already understood that you're not afraid because you got online. You know, and we use our real names. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I mean, the reality is, look, FBA describes Americans, and all right. So, closing words. We're gonna close this one out.
Closing words.
Any look, any people with who? Yeah, no, let me just close it out.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we can just close it out.
I'm like, look, be careful. Don't fall for the cult of personality. That's what I would say.
So, look, I'm not going to do it online and waste my time, conscious block. But again, you can definitely email me and we can converse. You know, this has been a good broadcast. And the last thing I want to do is risk, and I could be wrong. Let me just be clear. I could be wrong. This could be a very balanced minded person. But by the comments I saw, or we saw, it didn't reflect that. So and as my cousin is saying, it's like, why can't like at least put something in the chat that indicates that it's worthy of discussion.
Right.
All it's been has a heckling section that I enjoy because the heckling, they said that we're bothered, but all the heckling and the talking points and the FBA apologetics and all that is showing that it's hitting a nerve. And they say that it's hitting a nerve within us, but really I appreciate it. I mean, I'm really enjoying myself here, seeing that, but and that's part of the process of healing, because dissonance is a part of it. And I think that a lot of us, those who say that we're FBA, are experiencing dissonance here because it's messing with our apologetics. It's messing with our ideology. And whenever something that makes some sense is presented to you in a way that makes sense, and it conflicts with your ideological stance, it creates a certain level of cognitive dissonance. And that is what we are experiencing. And I'm going to say that those are my closing words. I love you.
Okay.
I mean, I really, truly do love you, FBAers. I love you, A-dosers. I don't subscribe to your philosophical or ideological underpinnings. I know you can do better. I expect you to do better, and I want you to do better. Cuz, close us out.
I don't have as much positive words for the FBA folk as you do. I will always say, I respect the idea of giving yourself another label. I respect the idea of delineating. That's where my respect ends. I don't respect any of the negativity that comes after that. I want to shout out Kesek Wanya. I'm sorry, I cannot, pronounce your name correctly, but there is a heated discussion in the chat about something Tariq said about Malcolm not receiving any support from the continent, and Kesek Kanya is rectifying the situation. But again, it's an example of why I don't have a lot of patience for the FBA folk, because they start at the top with something that sound good, and then they start throwing a whole lot of negativity and a whole lot of misinformation, a whole lot of lies, and it's like, now it's our job to clean up all of this mess. And it's a distraction to the real goal, to the actual goals. Every time you got to come back around and clean up a mess of lies that somebody done said, because folks start believing it. That's what irritates me the most about the FBA movement. If all you wanted to do was delineate and be proud of being a descendant of the plantation system and Jim Crow, then I'm right there with you. But after that, I ain't got nothing for you. But this is Shabazz, your brother Shabazz, sometimes Professor Shabazz. YouTube.com/@the-proper-perspective. Hit me up, hit the like button, hit the share button, and we will do this again.
Bob, so I appreciate that, brother, Professor Shabazz, and and just to keep it clean and clear, I'm talking about the human being behind it, because I understand they are misguided, misled, and the illness that white supremacy puts upon us. I love Black African people, and I want to help in that process of healing them. But I do also understand that not everybody's going to be saved. And with that, follow your brother, Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler, on all platforms at Dr. That's Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Just look up Dennis Asar Winkler. Until next time, family. You got something, Bob?
No, I'm good.
All right. We're going to sign out, family. We appreciate y'all joining us. I appreciate the FBAs for at least bringing in and showing us and proving our points that the ideology is thick and strong and nonsense. But we appreciate it. I'm not talking about the delineation. I'm talking about all the stuff after that. Peace and power.
Peace.